Who is this woman, and why does she look like she's holding back the urge to scold us for being 5 minutes late? Also, is she holding a log? Wrapped in a blanket? Dressed in a bonnet? Her intense bloodshot stare could send shivers down anyone's spine, but there's also something strangely captivating about her. The questions come rushing in. What's her story? Why is she gripping that log as if it's her most prized possession? And more importantly, why does she look like she's starring in the 19th century version of a psychological thriller? Let's dive into this haunting work of art. The Lunatic of Etretat by Hugues Merle. Or, as it's also known in French, la folle, meaning the fool, or the crazy woman. Yeah, not the kindest titles. Stick around, because by the end of this video, we'll have unpacked the layers of sorrow, social commentary, and psychological depth hiding behind that piercing gaze. Plus, we'll sprinkle in a few jokes. Because why shouldn't art history be as entertaining as your favorite Netflix binge? At first glance, all you can see are her eyes. Wide, red, and brimming with what feels like a mix of agony and accusation. It's as if she's looking right through you, seeing something you didn't even know you were hiding. But once you manage to break free from that gaze, good luck. Your attention shifts to what she's holding. Not a baby, not a pet, but a log. Yes, a log. And, oh, it gets weirder. She sits perched on the edge of a well, wrapped in a tattered blanket that barely covers her ragged clothes. Her hair flies in the wind like smoke, adding an ethereal, almost ghostly quality to the scene. And then, there's the setting. A barren forest with leafless trees that seem as lifeless as her surroundings. It feels cold, lonely, and utterly heart-wrenching. But here's the twist. The more you look, the more the fear and unease give way to something else. Sorrow, empathy, a connection you didn't expect. This painting has a way of pulling you in, forcing you to confront emotions you might rather avoid. Have you ever looked at a painting and felt like it was looking back at you? Let me know in the comments, because this one feels like it's peering straight into my soul. Let's talk about the log, because it's impossible to ignore. Not only is she clutching it like it's the most precious thing in the world, but it even looks like she's carved a face into it. Could it be a stand-in for a child? A lost loved one? Or maybe it's a physical manifestation of her grief and longing. Merle doesn't give us any clear answers, and that's what makes this piece so compelling. It invites us to interpret, to project our own thoughts and feelings onto it. So, what do you think the log represents? Drop your theories in the comments. I'm genuinely curious to hear your take. Her posture is tense, her body twisted in a way that makes her look like she's ready to spring into action. Her hands are impeccably clean. Oddly clean, given the rest of her disheveled appearance. And they're illuminated as if Merle wanted us to focus on them. Why? Is it a sign of her health, her strength, her lingering humanity? Her crossed legs peek out from beneath her skirt, adding a dynamic tension to the composition. It's almost as if she's poised between fight and flight, caught in a moment of unbearable uncertainty. Is she guarding her precious bundle, or is she preparing to flee? And flee from what exactly? The unanswered questions keep piling up, don't they? Here's the thing about Hugues Merle. You've probably never heard of him. And that's not your fault. He's considered a forgotten master, an artist who was celebrated in his time, but has since faded into obscurity. It's a shame, really, because Merle had a remarkable ability to capture raw emotion and human suffering in a way that few artists could. His works often focused on mothers and children, weaving themes of tenderness and heartbreak into every brushstroke. But this piece is different. It's darker, more haunting, and far removed from the sentimental charm of his other works. Why did he paint this? Was it a reflection of personal loss? A commentary on mental illness? Or something else entirely? Merle painted this in 1871, a year when France was reeling from the franco-prussian war. The country was in turmoil, politically, socially, and emotionally. Parisians were blockading the city, and the French people were grappling with the humiliation of defeat and the loss of Alsace and Lorraine to Germany. Could this woman's despair symbolize the collective grief of a nation? The barren trees and cold, lifeless atmosphere certainly feel like a metaphor for post-war devastation. But there's more. The 19th century also saw the rise of psychiatry, and with it, a growing fascination with mental illness. Women in particular were often diagnosed with hysteria, a catch-all term for everything from fainting spells to excessive emotionality. The word itself comes from the Greek hystera, meaning uterus, because doctors at the time believed hysteria was tied to women's reproductive systems. Yes, really. Given this context, it's easy to see how The Lunatic might be a commentary on the stigmatization of mental illness, especially in women. The title alone, The Lunatic, speaks volumes about how society viewed and labeled people who didn't fit neatly into its norms. What do you think? Is this painting a critique of those attitudes, or does it reinforce them? Let's discuss. Did you know there's another version of this painting, two women on the left, embracing as they gaze at the central figure with pity in their eyes, and two children on the right, staring at her with a mix of curiosity and confusion. The little boy, in particular, seems to be fixated on her bundle, perhaps not realizing it's a log and not a baby. This second version adds another layer of complexity. The additional figures highlight how society views and reacts to those who are different, whether with pity, curiosity, or discomfort. It's almost like Merle is holding up a mirror to the viewer, asking, how do you respond to someone who doesn't fit your expectations? At the end of the day, this painting isn't just about a lunatic or a fool. It's about humanity, our pain, our struggles, and our tendency to look away from things that make us uncomfortable. Merle forces us to confront this woman's suffering head-on. What do you see when you look into her eyes? Do they remind you of your own moments of sorrow, or do they challenge you to feel empathy for someone else's pain? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts. If this painting has sparked your curiosity, don't stop here. Share your interpretations, your theories, and your reactions in the comments below. And if there's another artist or painting you'd like me to cover, let me know. I'm always open to suggestions. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon for more deep dives into the fascinating, sometimes unsettling world of art history. Until next time, keep exploring the stories behind the canvas, because every painting has more to say than meets the eye.